Hello, today we're going to go over how you're going to do your ad using PowerPoint. Um, if you do not see the red P at the bottom, you need to go up here to your magnifying glass and type in the word power, and you should see your P up here. So you would click it and open PowerPoint. We want to just choose the first one, just a plain white one, and double click, and here we go. So I don't want any of this mess on it, so I want to go here to layout and choose blank. Now, in school, we don't look at advertisements or magazines in landscape orientation. So we need to go to File here at the top, Page Setup, and choose Portrait, and OK. So we have our surface to start creating our ad. Now I did a little photo shoot with some of my friends, and if I could find the picture that I want that I put on here already on my dirty desktop, I'm going to get the photo that I want to use and drag and drop it into my area. Now I'm going to shrink this for a minute because, and I move it over here so that I might still be able to use it. But when I originally had this photo and I pulled it over here, it had all this space, and if I were to make a bleed advertisement, which means from edge to edge, there's all this over here in the side. So basically all I did was I cropped it up all the way almost to the elbow, and all the way almost to the elbow. Now notice, I am not spreading her out like, she would not like that. So I am going to keep her in proper perspective here, and I'm only going to use the corners. That still didn't get me as far as I wanted to go, where it was totally a bleed, where it went all the way to the top to the bottom. I'm going to delete that. So there's some things that we can do to make that work to our advantage, or help us out a little bit. So right now I'm going to leave it like this. One thing that we could do is we can drop in a shape. We're going to drop in a rectangle. We're going to drop that in up here. Well, I'm going to go ahead and cover the whole screen because we may end up needing it for something else. I'm going to right click, and if you don't have a right click, let me know and I'll help you out with that. We're going to go to Arrange and Send to Back. Now those blues do not match up. I'm going to click off. I want to click back on that shape and look what happens up here. So watch right here when I do that again. I'm clicking off. The little purple disappears. I'm going to click back on, and the format is there. So I'm going to click on the format. What we're talking about here is fill. Now this says fill, but that's fill for our word art and whatnot. It has the A. This has our little paint can. So we're going to click on this. We're going to choose more colors. So we have a blue here. And I'm thinking if we make it a little darker, let me keep making it, we might, maybe, I don't know, maybe, no, too dark. You can see up here, and I'm trying to match it. Kind of move it over, see if you can match it at all. Ooh, it came in a little bit dark. So again, we can try to lighten that up just a little bit. And I'm going to do it again. And get it kind of close. We might be able to do a little fade in action with it. Okay. It's almost there. We might be able to add just a little bit of transparency that makes it too light until we get it close. Now we're back on our picture here. One thing that we can do with our picture is we can go up to our format, And now we can maybe put a little effect on it. Go glow, glow options, and then this is the soft edges, where it can kind of make your edges soft, where it would bleed into that area. But you can see it kind of made this area a little bit big too, so we can take that down a few notches on the soft edges. And okay. We can also add a little bit of a transparency to it, and that might bring that other blue into the picture. Don't know. So you can kind of play with that. But if we add our headline on here, it might not be so bam, it's right there. There's other things that we can do. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to add in a headline using word art. I'm going to just write the word headline so that you'll remember what goes here. I'm going to click on that. So your headline should be like a bam factor. So I'm going to go to my home, and I want to change the font. I want to change it to something that matches my audience, that matches my message, that matches everything. And this may take a little bit. Sometimes we might choose, braggadocio, but that is kind of hard to read. So I might try, just depending, again, who your audience is. I don't really care for that too much unless it looks like really big. That's kind of a fun picture. So you can play around with which one that you want to use. Definitely don't want to do something, in this case, it's like cut my life to pieces. That doesn't really match our message here. So we need to go back and just keep playing and finding one that we really like, but that you can read. So it's Hobo Day. I'm going to choose Hobo. It's kind of a fun, and that's a headline. Lots of things we can do with our headline. Go to our Format tab. We can change the line to a black. Okay, so that's still a very flat look. Here's your effects. You can add a shadow to it, kind of making it pop out just a little bit more. You can transform the shape. Watch yourself on the transforming of the shapes. You get too squirrely with all the I don't know, not real great. You can do a 3D, kind of play around with your 3D rotation stuff. You can do a beveled look, makes it look like kind of gives it a 3D feel to it. I want to make my headline, in this case, white. You could also make it that we were talking about pink stuff, or the pink glove, so you could change and see if you can draw out the pink. Just be real careful to find the same color of pink as, like if I were to match the gloves. So I would need to keep searching until I got really close to that pink look of the gloves. So I've got my headline. It's in a decorative font. I've got my visual. It's a bleed ad. So now what we might have is some copy. So if I were talking about the pink glove, or if I were talking about breast cancer, I might add a little bit of copy here. Now in this case, for copy or for body, this one's a good one. I also like to use Arial. It's real standard. It's real easy to read. And I might add some copy. Now you can see that's black. That doesn't work. You could either go with the same pink kind of schematic that I have going on here, or go to my format, and I might even just choose a white. And I'm going to write kind of a bunch of gibberish here. Copy, and this is the main text. And this is where we talk about the product, service, or idea. We tell the viewers in simple language about what we are, I'm going to put this in quotations, selling, because it could be an idea. Click it or ticket. You're selling the idea that they need to buckle up for safety. Now this kind of fades out into this area, so it doesn't really kind of bam off the page for me. So you can play around with where you might want to put your copy. You could, I like to keep them clean where you're not putting something kind of behind it, but that didn't work either for us. So I'm going to keep it white, but there are some things that you can do to kind of make it come or pop out. You can add what we call a glow. Now we have some red going on. Now that kind of made it pop maybe a little more, but we were working with that. So I'm going to go to glow options, and you might choose that pink color that we were working with. Here is where you can increase the size of the glow around it. You can increase or decrease the transparency, so that might make it pop a little bit more. And then we would have the pink. Then you can come back and say, well, I don't know, the white's still fading out. Well, does it help if I go black? No, not really. So I'm going to go white. Maybe what would help is if I went with a bolder text, and that might make it pop out just a little bit more. It might help if we change the shape of our text box. Also, you might want to do a centering, or what we call a justify the text. Justifying the text kind of makes it all squared out, like you might see more space in here. So again, you're going to play with where do I want to see my copy, and that's going to be kind of a personal thing. And you're going to play around with what's going to make my copy pop out for the viewers to see. And again, that's just kind of playing with where you'd like to see it happen. Stay very minimal on your copy and your main text at this time, because as you know, generation Yers, you guys don't particularly like to read all that much. This could also be just a little tagline that you want to put up here. So I have this in Arial. Now I want to add my signature, contact information, maybe some logos, just depending on what it is I'm advertising. If you are advertising Splendora Tennis, I don't know, rocks the house, something that's going to be your headline. Splendora Tennis could be this. It could be up here, and then rocks the house could be your headline. This could say rocks the house, and this could say Splendora Tennis. So that's just kind of a personal preference for you. I do want to see a headline. I do want to see some copy. Then we have to have our signature. So I want you to go ahead and add word art in. I'm going to put signature or contact information. Now this is way too big for contact information. I want to go to my home and change it to Arial, because you want to stay within the same families. You only want to really do two variations of your fonts, one for your headline and one kind of for the rest of it. I need to shrink this down, and I am going to add my signature maybe down here. And in this case, then again, you want to play with the colors, and you want to play with, are you going to outline it or not? You can play with your effects. Am I going to have a shadow? Don't put anything that's like a, what I want to say, really change the shape of your contact information. This needs to be real kind of point blank. So I'm going to copy and paste that. You want to put in each piece separately. You want the name, in our case, would be Splendora High School. And in this case, we want to shrink this up. And this could be our address. And spell it correctly, and it could really be our address. And I'm going to copy and paste that if I want to keep it in the right size. And paste it. The reason I wanted it all in separate so you can stack it up just a little bit. And here we might have our phone number. And then paste it again. And we have our web address. Now this is all kind of centered. You can also justify it. It's called everything to the right, everything to the left, depending on your layout and what you have going on. You can use your arrow keys to kind of work it around to what you want. Move that over. The thing to do is to get out of your chair and walk across the room, and does this pop out to you? This is a little bit small if that were going to be a tagline, so you might want to make that bigger. You might want to put, again, making it more come to life or pop out at you. That added a little bit of dimension to it. You can play around with different things. You can play around with a line color. Do you want a line color? Do you want a line color maybe not so dramatic, but maybe still make it pop out a little bit? I'm not sure that I would do a reflection on that piece. On your headline, it might be okay, but not on this. Play with your inside and see what that does. You could also play with bolding. You can also italicize it and make it bigger. So you have your contact information here. You have your headline. You have your visual. You might have some copy and text. Now you might want to add your logo. So whoa, that is not what I wanted. I had my pictures up on the screen a minute ago. Here we go. So I'm going to add my little logo, but this would probably be the wildcat. Now she's on top of this signature text, so you can right click and you can arrange and send it backward. Kind of the problem with doing that is you have to keep sending it backward until you get it behind everything you want. Sometimes I get impatient and I go arrange and send it back. Well, of course, she totally disappears. So then I go click on my big rectangle, arrange, send that back, or my big rectangle, and send that to back. So then that brings her up here, everything else to the back, and then I can kind of move her behind the text a little bit, move her around, change the shape, see where I like her to be, kind of play with this a little bit, and what I want that to look like, and move these around, and what I want that to look like. And so that's a personal preference. There's no right or wrong, but it needs to have some sort of eye flow that makes sense, if you will. What makes sense to you and me are two different things, but that's okay. What I then really like to see, you can Command C and Command B or right click paste, is your name that you are the one then creating this ad. Now there's all kinds of things you can do. You could take that photo over to Photo Flexor and kind of mess that with it over there. You can kind of bring it in rocked out or in the format picture. There's also some options in here where you can do some things to it and change the color up a little bit. You can also add filters. Be very careful with these because these are quite groovy and some of them just a little distracting. So you'd have to be making some kind of crazy, ad to do that. Maybe change this back to white, change this to black. I mean, it can work. Just it has to work for what you're doing. In this case, I'm going to move it back because I like this picture. There's also corrections here where you can sharpen it and you can lighten it and do some things with it there. This is an easy forum for you to work with to create a pretty solid ad. This is a bleed, meaning it goes end to end, and then we will polish it up as a PDF in the end. Right now, go ahead and save it as a PowerPoint first. So you go to File, Save As, and we're going to save it properly. First initial, last name, underscore, and this is my, depending on what advertisement you're creating, this is my ad about ad, and I'm going to save it. Later then we'll go in and File, Save As, and you're going to save it then as a PDF or a JPEG, either one. And then that's how you'll send it to me in Google Docs. So you have enough to keep you busy, and this is, just remember, didn't want to do that. Just remember, only 2 different type faces should be seen. All I did here is I stayed with the Arial, but you can put it, you can make it italicized. Yes, this was our hobo headline, and then this is Arial. This is Arial, and here you could maybe even italicize this part of it. And italicize, you can unbold it. You can italicize these down here just to create dimension. Just watch your eye flow. I typically don't use a straight-on picture that's symmetrical. I'll do something that's more of a Z shape, Z or a C. But in this case, I just really like this one. So this kind of has that T formation. And that being said, then you might want to then move things around appropriately to keep your T formation. So you might want to move that over, move all this in the center. So have a fun time creating, and you're awesome. And I think I've covered everything. Oh, no, I didn't. One more thing. So let's say I wanted to include this artwork, but it has the white. You can go to Recolor, Set Transparent Color, and click on the white, and the white is now gone. I can go up here to my headline. I can then send backward stuff, or again, I do it where I send it to the back, and then I take turns sending this to the back, and then I send this to the back. And it brings that ribbon up here. And you can play with where you want that. And if I put that ribbon on, then I would want to change that to a different color to make it kind of pop out a little bit more. So, I hope there are no questions. And I hope maybe this will help. I'm going to take this glow off. It's bothering me. No glow, but we might play around with different shadows, see if we can make it pop out just a little bit more. Take no line and see what we can do with that, and see if we can match up our pinks to where it's the same color as this. So we would have to deepen the color a little bit more. It kind of looks like a different pink to me. See, you never knew so much work went in. I don't know. So you can kind of play with it until you get it the way you like. So there you go. I hope I answered all the questions now. Just I'll be walking around the room trying to help you, but stop the video, rewind it, play it again, and do something else. Try different things and help each other out. That's what it's all about. And rock on.